So she goes on to say that we still live in the shadow of Kant, and that's clearly the case. Computer scientist Eric Baum argues that the mind is essentially a computer program produced by evolutionary process. Thus, free will is an illusion. The logical argument is airtight, he insists. And then he adds, but who really cares for all practical purposes? It's much more reasonable and practical for my genes to build me believing in free will and for me to act and think as if I have free will. It's a useful fiction. Well, that's nice. Evolutionary process has provided us incorrect data just so that we survive. And so there are things like math and logic. Those things can be just illusions as well, right? Necessary fictions, useful fiction. So we can't really know anything about the world.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the next chapter too. Free will is a very useful theory for describing human behavioral rights, yet it is still wrong. To be precise, it's not even wrong because it cannot be given any logical interpretation, at least not within his worldview. Then Baum concludes that the belief is simply mystical. Oh, wow. That sounds very scientific. That sounds very quantitative and qualifiable. One group of thinkers even have been labeled Mysterians, argue that human intelligence is simply not equipped to solve the mystery of consciousness, that it evolved to solve purely practical problems like obtaining food and making tools. Yeah, because having an idea of what is truth and what is what does Socrates say? What is the highest ideal that we can ascribe to? Yep, those are only for finding foods and making tools.
Of course, there's all kinds of organisms that aren't conscious, that find food and
make tools. Yeah, ravens that put little pebbles in to make the water level go up and find water.
Well, especially finding food, right? Bacteria finds food, right? Viruses find food, right? So, yeah.
A representative of this group, Colin McGinn, writes, consciousness must have evolved from matter somehow, but nothing we could contrive or imagine seems to offer the faintest hope for explanation. We just don't have the faculties of comprehension that would enable us to remove the sense of mystery. Francis Schaeffer, of course, the great Francis Schaeffer in The God Who Is There, observes that every worldview containing a two-story dualism leads ultimately to mysticism. Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
They'll even take it.
He called it, 40 years before?
He called his shot. He pointed out over the fence. He swung. Yeah. And by pure practical robotic adherence, it went in that direction.
50 years, 60 years before it happened, or before they got there, Schaeffer, it's kind of like that old saw where, the philosopher does everything, climbs the mountain, huffs and puffs, finally gets up to the top, and he finds that it's full of theologians.
So the mysticism in the sense that adherents must affirm truths that their own worldview cannot rationally explain. You have to call it a useful fiction. You have to call it a mystery. Yet when Christians have this idea of revealed will and prescribed will, we say that there are things that are prescribed to us that we should do, but there are actions that happen in the world that we don't have an understanding to why God allows it, but we have to be we should be certain in the fact that God is good and a just judge and everything like that. So that there's a mystery aspect to it. Then that's you wanting to save your double-minded philosophy of this God. But when they do it, it's fine because it's just a product of evolution, and they're good.
Yeah, it's okay for them.
Yeah,
right? Because they're the elites.
Yeah, they're the scientists.